I still get butterflies, babe. Yo, cheers, Rich. Thank you, dog. My people, it's your boy Ness, friends of the program. Yo, we took a couple weeks off. It was my birthday, 50 years old now. I know, big 5-0. Just went on vacation, couple weeks. Me, the wife, some friends. Oh, and by the way, I gotta shout out my boy Joe. He's my high school best friend. He hooked me up with that. You guys see that new alligator head? While we were in Orlando, we met up with him and his wife, Vanessa. And that's all I wanted to do was I wanted to encounter an alligator. So everywhere we went, I was like, yo, there's got to be alligators over here. There's got to be gators there. It just looked swampy. It just looked like they belong there. And they were like, yeah, there's probably some in there. But they didn't come out. So he was like, yo, I'm just going to get you this. And luckily, they let me bring it on board on the plane. But yo, anyways, we're back. Season 2, episode 16. And I've been trying to get this dude on here since season 1. And he was like, yo, let me just wait till season 2. And I was like, all right. So we got him. This is my boy Rich. He's like a brother brother from another mother. I've known him almost 20 years. We've done a lot of big business together. So let me introduce to you guys my boy Rich from Shiekh Shoes, Karmaloop. And by the way, my boy Jimmy, he was on here to open up season 2. And he freestyled on the beat. So what do you think? You think you could do it?
I don't think I'll be doing, the rappers and the people that do that justice. So I'll say a little something little, like my man Mike suggested, a little 8, or we'll give it like 4 bars of like words of wisdom.
Let's do it, dog.
All right.
Let's do it.
It's important to remain humble. It's important to remain self-aware. It's always important to remain confident. To always be thankful and gracious for what you have for your family, your friends, and for whatever God you believe in.
Yo, I love that, man. Hey, yo, cheers to that.
So that's salute.
Salute, man. My man, I am so happy you're here.
I'm so nervous to be here, man.
Come on, dog.
Nervous, man.
It's crazy that you say you're nervous because you're always out. You're always meeting people. You're always in front of people. You know what I'm saying? But yo, this is my boy Rich, Shiekh Shoes. I've known him for a minute, almost 20 years now.
Yeah. 14, 15.
Yeah, how you feeling, man?
I feel good, man. I mean, like it's cool to be out here. We out here in the AV. It's great. Like, I've been blessed with a great life, great friends, great family. I've been a lot of places. I lived on both coasts. And it's just cool. Like I just genuinely enjoy what I do. Like I'm one of the few people that it's days that when you get up and go to work and you realize what you do, I'm not out here saving lives. I'm not out here, fighting crime. I'm not out here,
right.
Just crunching numbers and telling people what to do. I get to really, really get in there and do what I love. So it's a blessing. Like it's so many things that, we take for granted that I really try not to. And that's why I'm still where I am today. So
dope, man. Dope. But let me ask you, man, since you said, you mentioned you lived on the East Coast, you're on the West Coast now. I've been to the East Coast and the weather at times, man. Like, how did you manage that?
Well,
or were you always out there?
I'm I'm originally from Ohio. So
Okay.
when I lived in Boston, like it's weird because like Ohio, the cold is intense. It's you get some brutal days and winters, but with Boston you get brutal months.
Ooh.
Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
it's cold. You get the snow, you get the ice, you get the snowstorms, you get I can remember days like the little community we lived in. You go outside and it's like dude, it's like you might get 2.5 feet of snow in like 2 days. And like by the time it thaws out, you got to go out and you're with your neighbors shoveling their car out and shoveling your car out so y'all can essentially get out of the parking spot you in. Because everybody parking on the street. But it's funny, you would go out and it would do that. And I remember like our last year, the last day I came to Boston and helped my wife move out, it was like May. And it was wild because I looked at the forecast and I got there, it was like 70s, so I had been like out here in LA for maybe like 6 weeks at the time. And it was like, oh, it's a winter clipper coming. I'm like, in May? Like, so I'm like, what's gonna be like 2-3 inches? It's gonna suck. Like, nah, we got 18 inches in 6 hours.
Damn.
So literally, it's like I come back and like my send off to LA was a winter storm. And it was wild because it's the normal you're shoveling the cars out. But I think the wildest part was that, let's say it started snowing crazy around 10 a.m., 11 a.m. It was completely like nothing happened. It's 50 degrees by 4 o'clock. It was wild. Like it was just like the craziest snow and it just cleared up like within the next day. So you just get used to it. Like it's not really, it's like, like out here, like you just get used to how hot it is some days. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, let me ask you though too, like, the school open? Because I know, like out here, you get a
that was a wild part.
You get a little snowstorm. But like, every kid stay home.
What they do is so Boston goes back after Labor Day. So the kids start like September, like sometimes like September 5th, like that late. So you got to do makeup days. So it's like I remember, I want to say not the year we left, but the year before we left. So this is winter of 14. Man, like. They had to make up 9 days of school.
Damn.
So when they knew they had to make up the 9 days, they shortened their Easter/spring break, and they basically told the parents and the pretty much the whole school district that like, hey, Boston City, that we're gonna have to essentially shorten spring so that way the kids could get out before July 4th.
Right.
They shortened spring break. There's like another break in between they shortened. So they basically broke up the 9 days and the kids still had to stay an extra 3 days before. So they got out like July 1st that year. It's wild.
Damn. Yeah. Okay, you said you're from Ohio.
Yeah, I'm from Cleveland.
Were you born and raised in Ohio?
Born and raised in Ohio. Cleveland,
okay.
Ohio, yep.
So you've been how was it different, like Ohio, going from Ohio to going to Boston?
Oh man, it's super easy. Boston's wild diverse. Like the most exotic person you'll see in Cleveland is like a mixed person or like a Puerto Rican. Like the west side of Cleveland has like a bunch of Puerto Ricans.
I don't even think we seen a Hispanic dude when we went to Cleveland, bro. Like,
it depends on what side of town you on. Like if you're on the west side, like it. At least when I was there,
I don't know what side. We were right there. We were next
downtown.
to downtown.
Downtown,
yeah.
Like so, that's gonna be like that's like your standard downtown. But
okay.
Boston was wild because like the neighborhood we lived in was primarily Dominican and Cape Verdean neighborhood.
Oh damn!
And, Cape, like even like I'm like Cape, like what's Cape Verdean? And it's
I was gonna ask that.
Yeah, it's an island off of the west coast of Africa, and they look like Latinos. Like you know what I'm saying? They got that like kind of like it's hard to explain, but they're basically African and Portuguese. So it's like they're
what they speak. What?
Like some kind of Portuguese Creole.
Oh okay.
But like some of the most like beautiful people you'll see like. Super exotic looking, like crazy. Like you'll have like
it's like the Filipinos, bro. They say the Filipinos are the Hispanics of
Asia.
Yeah,
that's true too. But I've seen some Cambodians too, and I'm like, whoa, like you like we like it's weird. Like once you like start to realize like how big the world is, like it's just so many different people out there.
I never even heard of that.
What, Cambodians?
No, the
Cape Verdeans.
Yeah.
It was Cape Verdeans, but dude, it's Haitians, Jamaicans. It was the first place I had ever been to as an adult where I got asked what my ethnicity was. And I'm like, I'm black. Like,
yeah, right.
But it's like in Boston, you can't just be black. There's, Nigerians, there's Haitians, there's Jamaicans, there's Guyanese, there's Trinidadians. It's just
it's a melting pot.
Yeah, it's a melting pot of even black people. So even the black people have like, their own thing. Like, the Trinidadians have a certain way they do things. They like certain types of food. The Dominicans like certain kinds of food. There's certain neighborhoods you go to. So it was just different. Like we had this, we were like super involved in the church we went to, which was like literally down the street from the house. And our service was the English speaking service. So normally you go to church, like, it's thousands of people. Like this English speaking service, it was days that it had like 30, 40 people. Cause like, it was just the English community was so small. It was like that. It was like, I'm saying it's that diverse.
That's crazy.
It was wild. Like it was kind of a treat too, because like I had got introduced to foods I had never had before. Right. Like I had never been to like a Puerto Rican butcher shop. You know what I'm saying? Like where they're serving you like hot food, cutting it right in front of you, putting the gravy and the rice and the beans on. Like, so, it was like a legitimate experience. It's one of the things I actually miss about Boston, the East Coast specifically, is like that level of diversity. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
So
that's in Boston.
Yeah.
So growing up in what part of Cleveland was it?
East side.
Cleveland, was it the
East side of Cleveland?
Okay.
Yeah. East side of Cleveland.
All right. How was it? How was it for you?
So like I live with both of my parents, so I spent like the first kind of my formative years with my mother, and then really like middle school, high school, I stayed with my dad. So my dad lived, we lived on like the southeast side of Cleveland, and then my mom lived in this little suburb called Maple Heights. It's right on the outskirts of Cleveland. Like there's like addresses that touch Cleveland, but it was cool. Like, it wasn't, middle class. Like as I get older, I realized like how hard my mom had to struggle with stuff. Like, and I didn't know. Like, it's like you do the math now. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like being a working man, having kids on my own, I'm like, damn, mom made this work with like, she only made like 30K a year, 40K a year. You know what I'm saying? Mortgage, phone, and like cell phone. Like I remember like she would call me to cuss me out when the cell phone bill was high.
Brothers and sisters too?
Nah, just me. Just only
you.
child.
Okay.
Yeah, only child. Well, I have a half brother. My dad has a child with a young lady he married like years and years ago. Shout out my brother Tyler. But yeah, so pretty much raised by myself. They got divorced in like 93 or 94. So he lived with his mom. I used to see him throughout high school. We kind of fell out of touch when he got to college. But yeah, for the most part, just me, just only child. I treat all of my like friends like my brothers and sisters. You know what I'm saying? Right. Like those are like the people that I like, really treat like friends and family and all that. So
hey man, that's why I think us too, like we connected ever since when we connected. Because I do consider you my brother, bro. Like,
appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Because every time we've talked, whatever it is, like I'm like, damn, this dude's like my brother, like my brother from another mother, So growing up, like, at what age do you think you were like when you started like falling in love with this culture, right? You started listening to music, the fashion, everything, right? What age was it, and how did you feel about it?
It happened in phases. So like growing up, like I used to only listen to like alternative rock. Like I could tell you like every like Pearl Jam, Nirvana song from like 91 to like 95.
Okay.
And then my cousin got me into rap. So like I'm talking like, and I used to listen to like a little bit of rap. Like I remember listening to Bone Thugs and liking a Harmony, but like my cousin really like sat me down, and like my cousin was like kind of rich. So like he had all the new CDs. Like he would have like the Master P double disc joints. Yeah, he's like a year older than me. Like, but like he's the one that really got me into like rap. Like really got me into rap. Like not so much like the bars, but just like, oh, some of this is hard. Like,
how were you dressing at that time? Like you listening to all this alternative.
What's wild is I still had like, I feel like I still had style. It was probably more of like I was into like, I probably was wearing like baseball jerseys. I always wore hats back when I had hair. But like I was always into fashion. It was, I think a big piece of it was like when I was younger, my mom just didn't have the money for it.
Right.
So, she would take me to the Goodwill and to the thrift stores, and I hated it. Like, you got to understand, you buying, like, she was showing me, like, what fabrics were nice. She's like, I touch this. You feel that poly, it's real shiny and gross. This is cotton, grab these. She had me going to the dresser.
Hey, you know what's crazy, though? Like, all that, she was teaching you.
100%.
You know, she was teaching for what you're doing now.
100%.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah, like, I remember us, too, like, those were our trips back in the day,
yeah,
man. Like thrift store, swap meet, all of that.
Yeah,
you know?
like flea markets. We did the flea markets. She at one point she was dating this guy that he was into like action figures and all that, like action figures, toys, games, video games a little bit. So I think like a lot of there's aspects of the culture to me that just very much are like kind of universal. Like there's a level of like collecting, right? Like you remember back in like the old streetwear days, the Crooks and Castles, the 10 Deep, like it was so limited edition because you had to go to like a boutique. You had to find the right spot online to have it. But there was that mentality of collecting, like gotta, like, you know, like Pokemon, gotta catch them all. So I feel like there's pieces of the culture that are just like universal in general, because it's really you just trying to get as much as you can and immerse yourself into it. And I just feel like, you know, it was kind of always in me, but like I said, it happened in phases. So it was like at the time, like, you know, you seeing rappers, you're seeing like, who did I fall in love with first, man? Like that, like really dressed.
Just like in the 90s?
Yeah, yeah,
90s,
like probably
90s?
like 95, 96.
Okay, yeah.
Like, you know, I remember like, I used to love this group called Crucial Conflict. It was like a Bone Thugs knockoff. Then I fell in love with Bone. But I really think I turned the corner like right around like 98. Cause that's when like Rockaware, FUBU, that like, so at the time in Cleveland, if you lived in Cleveland during this era, it was two places to shop. It was City Blue and Next. And Next is actually still around, but City Blue was like out of Philly. They had like a couple stores in Philly, and they brought one to a couple spots in Cleveland at the time. And I just remember like going to see like these like sweatsuits and these hoodies and these jeans and the Jordans. Sick. And it's like, oh yeah, I like, this is it. Like, this is my life right now. So that was it. I was pretty much locked in after that. And then by the time I got to high school and started working, it was like, it was on and popping. Like I said, Next was like the other spot. Next, like City Blue was like much more like true real life urban. And like Next was kind of more elevated. So Next was like, you would go, like they had like Evisu jeans, and the Evisu jeans used to come in these wooden crates. And I remember they had like a wall with the jeans inside of the crates. And I just thought it was like the craziest thing. It was like, wow. Yeah. And one other thing I'm gonna say too, during this era, you know, from Cleveland, LeBron is like a year older than me. So when we used to go to the malls, LeBron would be at the mall and they would shut like stores now. Like you can't go in until Bron and his boys come out. So we like all hanging around the mall, like trying to kill time. Like, you know, like, hey, you got to call your mom type stuff. So like, you know, you waiting to catch a view of LeBron and all that. But like, yeah, it was like a real thing. Like, so Next was like the spot. I never met Bron, but my high school played him twice. We played him my junior year, which would have been his senior year. And we played him my sophomore year, which would have been his junior. I think the sophomore year I played JV and we played against them guys. And I think I got into a varsity game, but I never like played, like I never tackled LeBron. I never got like maybe did more than like shook his hand and like the line at the end type shit. But yeah, it was like, you know,
that was crazy times.
It
LeBron,
was,
bro. Like I still remember too, out here on the West Coast. I think it was his senior year and he was coming out to play. Mm-hmm. He sold out Pauley Pavilion.
Yep.
Got some tickets. And we're like, damn, this fool sold out Pauley Pavilion. Like,
and the tickets weren't cheap.
And they weren't cheap. And then too, I was hearing like at his high school, people scalping because you know you only had enough.
It was a fact.
And it was like, man, that dude was on a different level, man.
I'd never forget that. Like he had this thing called the Fast Break on the Lake, and I don't know how my uncle and aunt got us tickets, but it was like one of the craziest things. It was at it's called I think it's still called the Wolstein Arena in Cleveland. It was the Cleveland States Coliseum. And bro, like when I say it was packed, it was like there was like almost riots at the door for people to get in. And it was like same kind of thing, like they moving people out the way because Jay-Z and them had like court seats at a high school game, bro. It's like, wow.
Yeah, that's what
like,
I was saying. Like, damn, like this is crazy.
That's juice.
And then you know what's crazy too? That this is how long he's been in the league too. Like now with his kid, when his kid was in high school, he came out here to play a couple times. Same thing, bro. Like everybody got enough tickets. We got tickets, and people out there. yo, you got extra tickets? I got to get in there to watch this dude
Yeah.
play. Like, damn, like this is crazy, man. Man, shout out to Cleveland, man.
Shout out, man. You know what I'm saying? It's something.
Damn.
It's something in the water.
Something,
you know what I mean?
something
In the water.
Yo, so at what time? Like, did you go to college?
Yeah.
Yeah, you went.
Yeah, graduate and all that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm a Buckeye. Graduate from Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, like
all right.
I don't talk about
Ohio
it.
State.
The Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't talk about it too much. But yeah, I'm like full on
That's
graduate.
What's up.
Yep.
That's what's up. So after college, you know, let's jump into like how we met.
Okay.
Because I remember, I don't know if we met at a show. I don't know if we hit you guys up. You guys hit us up, but you were working for a company called Jack Threads.
All right, I've been saving this one. So, I'm from Ohio, so you know all the trade shows back in the day was Agenda, it was Project.
I don't even know if
EK.
Agenda was even.
Agenda. Yeah, it was Agenda because
Yeah?
I think y'all was doing. So
all I remember was like Magic at the time.
nah, y'all was doing Agenda. It was you, Breezy Excursion, Booger Kids, John from Fully Laced, Evan from Adapt.
And you know what's dope is we all came up like at the same time, and it was just a dope like environment to be around all these dudes. You know?
So again, like there was some, I don't know how I found it. It was like somebody had like a card out or posted on this was before Instagram too. Somebody posted something and it was like West Coast Conference. And I'm like, oh, I'm calling every single one of these brands and we gonna figure it out. Like I'm gonna figure out a way to do some business with these guys.
So you were working at
I was at Jack Threads,
at the time.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
right.
So I was like, I'm gonna figure out a way to do business with these guys. And then for you, I had spent, you know, I'm real close with John Barretto,
Yeah.
but it was weird. Like everybody else was cool, you know, they're trying to get off the phone or whatever. But you like actually sat on the phone with me, and like we talked through how to make it work. Like I'll never forget that. Like we're in my girl at the time, my wife now, basement. And I think we was on the phone for like 35, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, just talking. And you like, I'm like, yo, I got this idea for this design. I think we could do this and do that. And you're like, all right, man, we'll see. Like, cause in my head, I'm like, all right, well, and I'm like, you don't have inventory. You're like, nah. I'm like, all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna pre-sell everything.
Right.
And then I'm gonna send you the order for what we sell. And then the rest is history. You know how much business we did back then. So it was like, but you was like really there listening. Your design's always on point. You always had like, I still to this day, like you have a very defined design, like eye. You know what I'm saying? Like every designer has an eye, but you have a very specific eye and like lens of how you see things, like these really bold, strong lines. And at the time you had like that like stretched out like Michael Jordan caricature. You had like the Jordans with like the teeth and all that, like it was just
like the shoe, like
yeah,
the shoe character.
yeah.
Yeah, this shit's taking me back.
Yeah,
man.
that's what I'm
back.
saying, and it's funny because like even to this day, like some of the homies, like they still bring up like, you know, is this cool to say the freshness?
Yeah,
like they still bring up the freshness, like you know what I'm saying, and it was
the freshness was known, bro.
It was
like,
known.
We blew up,
It
bro.
was-
like
it was wild.
We would see the freshness everywhere, airport, Disney, everywhere we went, someone was rocking the freshness.
And you got to remember, that's your eye, like that probably still to this day translates to and I think to a certain extent with the Retro Kings it does, but I think the freshness was just so cool because like, you know, Nike does a tee and it's nowhere near as cool as the stuff you was doing, man. Like it wasn't even close. So like it's wild to sort of, you know, to go back to that era and just remember how crazy it was.
I don't know if you know how the name came about. Shout out to my wife, because we're sitting there in the apartment and I'm like, I created that Chicago's Finest, that Chicago Bull with the Kanye, you know,
I remember that.
And then I got hit up by Karma Loop, and then we're selling, and then I was like, babe, like this shit's selling, but I need to call it something. I gotta, you know, it's gotta have a name, like a name brand. She was like, call it Freshness. I was like, oh, let's do it. And then Freshness was just one S, you know, like Nest, Freshness. Like, oh man, it was perfect, dog.
It was tough.
But yeah, I remember those days, man. I remember too, like, I was able to get those keychains.
Oh yeah, I do remember those.
Little Jordan
I do remember those.
Whatever, like before everybody got them, and then we sold them.
We were
on
selling
there.
those. Oh my gosh, yeah. I remember
we were
that.
doing all kinds of numbers with you guys, man. So yeah, so it was Jack Threads. After Jack Threads, because I know you've been, you know, you've gone from place to place.
Yeah.
Where did you? How did you end up at Chic?
So I guess I'll go back. So I worked for a store that's now called Corporate. based in Cincinnati. Corporate got him. I worked at Soul Classics, which is like, I think he's got like 5 or 6 stores. He opened a store.
And this was after Jack Threads?
No, this is before.
Oh, before. All
so
right.
I'm just going back.
Yeah.
And then basically, like, I was in college. I was literally like, I started Jack Threads my senior year. Like I was
How'd you hook up with Jack Threads?
Man, it was a what was that stuff called? A Craigslist ad. And it was like, we need somebody that understands streetwear, that understands marketplace, that understands buying. And I'm like the only dude in Columbus, Ohio, because that's where it's based at the time, that like I had worked at all the boutiques that existed in Columbus. I was cool with everybody there. I knew the brands. And you know, for me, I'm like, oh, this is me. And I go in for the first interview. This is August of my senior year, my final senior year, my victory lap in college. And I go in, I know I crushed the interview. I know I did. And never got a call back. And I'm like, what? And then this is right around, never forget, this is probably right around when I got my paperwork to graduate. I actually got I remember you get like something from the registrar, and it was like I could enroll back in school, I could graduate. So I clicked the graduation box, sent it back through or whatever. And then I want to say within like a week or two, I get a call back about Jack Threads. Like, hey, company's growing. You know, the reason why we didn't call you back, you know, we already had somebody that was kind of in a role. That person didn't work out. We want to bring you back. So for me, I was like, oh, bet. Like, let's do it. And from there, it was just like, it literally became like my baby. I remember like having senior projects and typing papers and also uploading stuff to Jack Threads in class. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then we used to be in a design lab till like midnight working on our stuff. And while like we're in the design lab, I'm also like writing descriptions for product and getting emails from vendors and stuff like that. So it was like an era. It was like it's the perfect job for a young dude with no kids, no family. Like you could just hustle. So it was cool, man. Like it was all, it was just online, right? Online only, man. Like
they had a following, bro. Like,
and that was the wild part too. Like coming into it, I had no idea. Like, you know, I'm going into this like little office building, thinking, you know, whatever. And he takes me to the back of the warehouse, and I'm like,
damn.
Oh, it's like this. Like you can have, like, you know, I'm used to working at a boutique, so you go to the back of a boutique's like little stock room. It's like maybe 200-300 shoes back there, like. He had rows of 200-300 shoes. You know what I mean? Like, right. He had pallets of T-shirts and hoodies and piles of returns and stuff like that. Like, you know, and it was wild. It's probably like a maybe 6,000-7,000 square foot warehouse at the time.
Let me ask you, like, I know you said, like, when we first talked, I was like, yo, we don't have inventory.
Yeah.
Was that like the first time you ever dealt with something like that, where it was like, okay, you know, I want to work with this brand, and I know they don't have inventory, so how are we gonna make this work?
Yeah, so my boss, like, you know, he was a cunning dude. Jason's a smart dude. He had this, like, it was weird because at the time it was a whole like era where e-com didn't want to own inventory. Like everybody thought inventory was toxic, it's hard to get rid of, you got to pay for warehouse space, whatever. So we're doing this thing called pre-sales. And what a pre-sale was is vendors will have inventory. They give you their stock list. They give you their number counts. We'd upload it to the website and sell against it. So basically what will happen is it's kind of like an early form of drop ship. But instead of them drop shipping direct to the consumer, they're sending the bulk goods to us, and then we're sending it to the consumer after. So it's like forgot what they called it, but fulfillment. We were doing the fulfillment. We were doing the sales, and they were sending us the goods after. Yeah. With not having an inventory, we did a sale similar with another brand called Homage, ironically enough, and he gave me the idea. It was like, hey, Rich, don't worry about what my inventory is. Pick the styles you want. We're going to print it. We'll get it to you in about 2 weeks. So I think I pitched that to you, and you was like, yeah, I think I could make that work. But I don't think we knew we was going to sell like 1,000 T-shirts in like a week or whatever we did. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, too, like, that was our first time, our first taste of something big.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know, because we were so used to, like, we had already done, like, Magic. Yeah. We had done the trade shows, but it wasn't, like, on that level where, you know, they're ordering 200 shirts. They're ordering, like, 300 tees, 150, whatever. Like, we took whatever orders we can get, but it was never at that level where we're selling thousands. Yeah. And we're not even, like, having to go out to a trade show and sell it. I just talked to you, and you were like, boom, boom, let's put all these up for sale, and then here's the orders, boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden I see this purchase order, and I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
And at the time, you know, like with Ralph, you know,
Yeah,
you
yeah, I
and
remember Ralph.
Ralph.
Yeah, of course.
With it, we were like, yo, this is crazy, dog. Like, all right, well, now we got to be on point, you know, and but it was crazy too, like with him, when you got into it with him, over some like
It was
like
I
some
think-
pieces that were missing.
Yeah, it
and
was
he
like
was
he
like,
was
nah,
going
man, we
crazy.
shipped
Yeah, we shipped
everything.
that, yeah.
And I was like, bro, like, no, man, like, I'm not fucking up this relationship, bro. Like, no, if they say they didn't get them, we're either gonna credit them or we're gonna replace them.
And
that's it.
And it's
you
funny
know?
in hindsight, like being in the industry for as long as I have been and haven't done it for so long. Like I remember sweating it, and we're like, I mean, literally, we probably did. And even when they phased me out of apparel and you were doing it at the other buyer, you know, I remember seeing some of them POs and they'd be like 50, 60 grand. And this is like, you only got the sale up for a week. And like they're, you know, my bosses is chasing me down to get like a credit for you for like $1,000, $2,000. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for all intents and purposes, like most businesses build a certain like level of like, you know, shrink from that. So it's funny, like in hindsight, like even now today, like a vendor will be like, hey, we're not short, or, you know, you guys say we shorted us. And it's like,
You see me now, bro. You guys hit me up like, hey, bro, we're short 7. I'm like, okay, cool,
Yeah.
man. Hey, I'm not tripping, bro. Like, I believe you.
I learned.
I'm not gonna sweat you.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and then we learned too, like, you know, you got the Walmarts and the Forever 21s of the world where they got a whole business. They got a whole business unit to short people and compliance and all that. And
Right,
you know,
right.
I just tell people, man, like, look, at the end of the day, we just selling clothes and shoes, man. Like, who
it,
cares?
that's
It's not
it.
that big of a deal.
So after Jack Threads, right? Like, going into like big retailers, did you end up at Karmaloop?
Yeah, so I ended up at Karmaloop after Jack Threads. The Jack Threads thing didn't work out. They moved to New York. I wasn't really interested in that part of it. I wasn't really ready for the New York move. And then within 6 weeks, I ended up moving to Boston instead of New York, which was wild. Because at the time, I'm paying my own rent, I'm paying my car insurance, I'm paying my cell phone bill, I'm paying all the utilities, and me and wifey's just living there together. She had just got a job. And I sat her down and was like, hey, I really think I can make this Boston thing work. If I need to float this for the first couple years, I will. And I told her, I was like, you know, you do a really good job at what you do. We live in Ohio where the cost of living's low. The wages ain't going to be super high. I think you can take this to Boston and make a bag. And sure enough, like we moved to Boston, her salary doubles. And I made like maybe like $5K more. I'm paying the same amount. I'm getting almost paid the same amount in Ohio that I was in Boston, but I bet on myself. Cause I just knew like you know, if I could put my nose to the grindstone and get it done, like I would. And you know, it worked out. I started off managing dropship for the Karmaloop's program called the Casbah. So all the Casbah brands, you was one.
Yep.
All them guys that were with the West Coast Conference that we just talked about was with them. And Karmaloop.
Hey, that was so dope too, bro. I'm sorry to interrupt you, man.
Go
Like,
ahead.
and I think I've talked to you about this shit before too. Like, it was so dope being on Casbah with my peers, like people that we know, like, and us creating it. And then you guys had that page where it had like the top sellers.
Yeah, I remember
and
that.
it was like, yo, you wanted to have that top selling T-shirt, and then if you didn't, it inspired you to like create, like continue to create because you wanted that top spot. And it was so dope, like being there with like Fully Lays, Breezy, like all these guys like that kind of came up at the same time, like seeing all of our shit on there on that page, like as top sellers.
I think the part that I like the most about that too was y'all had the integrity to not bite each other's style.
Yeah.
Like, and I really love that like y'all were just so like adapt
Right.
stupid numbers, by the way.
Yeah.
You had your own thing. You had the Bulls joint. You had the sneaker tees. I low key feel like you invented sneaker tees.
Yeah. I think so.
But yeah,
too,
I think you
dog.
did. But like y'all,
Hey, you heard it. Hey.
yeah,
you heard it. You heard it
Ness
here.
invented sneaker tees.
I've known him for a minute.
Yeah.
All right. And he just said it.
I think he invented sneaker tees, bro. Like,
that's
for
right.
real. Like he put t-shirts, or he put sneakers on the front of a t-shirt and it didn't look corny.
Right.
And he did stuff that like the colors was dope, and he would tie it in right, and he would regardless, man. Like if there's a way to like roll out like your catalog, man, like people would be shocked.
Insane, dog.
But no, you guys had, you know, legitimate design ethoses, and y'all had stories, and y'all had, you know, like I said, y'all have like a vision, and a bunch of y'all just, it's so easy to look at a brand and say, oh, I'm gonna just knock that off. I'm gonna do my interpretation.
Which they do
of that.
now. That's what they do now.
That's all they do now.
That's all
like,
they do now.
That's H&M, that's Zara, that's Shein.
Even the small guys.
Everybody.
You know how easy it is now to say I have a brand.
100%.
And all they do is just bite off
somebody
of what
else's.
you already see.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And y'all just, I can remember like people getting tight about, you know, this looks like mine. Can you take that down? And we'd take it down because like we knew we were taking care of y'all. Y'all were taking care of us. You guys were fulfilling orders. It was man, it was like one of them things like, what a time to be alive.
Fucking times, dog. I ain't gonna lie. Those were some, like, waiting to get that Karma Loop check once a month. You know what I'm saying? Was like, yeah, it's coming. I already know. I already know what it's going to look like.
Once every 90 days. Yeah. Remember them days? That's when it got tough. Like, yeah.
Oh, man, it was dope. Yo, let's talk a little bit about trade shows.
Okay.
Because I know you know, being with Sheik too, like you go to different trade shows. How do you like that? And where do you see, like, you know, with the internet being the way it is now, with brand boom and everything else, like, how do you see that, like the trade show, that vibe with, you know, going to the trade shows?
I'm conflicted about it. As a retailer, I don't mind it. I used to hate it because you're going to 3 or 4 different shows, seeing the same 8 or 9 brands, but you spread, no, not 8 or 9, probably like 30, 40 brands spread across 4 different show floors. Now it's just one, it's consolidated. I personally like it. I think one of the things that really is hurting our industry in general is to what we just talked about is sort of the commodification of streetwear business. You know, Urban Outfitters has their take on it. H&M has all the licenses and stuff like that. So I think to a certain extent, I like it. I think for the brands, I think to the consumer, there needs to be a much more direct voice from the brands to the consumer. And that's why I really liked Complex Con, because I thought what Complex Con did was kind of lift the wool over the eyes of like the consumer, where they could actually interface with the brands directly, so they could learn something new. They didn't have to go to, you know, a boutique and find their limited selection. They can go out and see the brands, buy it directly, et cetera. And I think there's a big piece of that that's lacking, where you look at the industry itself right now. Like, you know, I would love for people to see the Retro Kings. You know what I'm saying? Like, not just like at a boutique, but be able to see them like, yo, this is the line we want to drop. How come we never, you know, how come it never happens, or how come this design doesn't get picked? And that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But I think what I don't like about it, again, is there's just no transparency between what's at the trade show and what the consumer sees. And I think if the consumer can see more, there will be a much more organic tendency to move back towards brands, as opposed to just going to the mall and going to your PacSun, your Zoomies, whatever. And those guys do an okay job with branding, but I mean, just the heyday, that's really what it was the brands were almost more important than the retailers in some cases. And we've lost that because of, again, I feel like the H&Ms, the Zaras, et cetera, where you've just sort of homogenized everything. We turned everything into Old Navy for real. You know what I mean? So
it's that big money.
Yeah.
Yo, remember the trade shows back in the day with Rockaware, Sean John?
That was like, before me.
Oh, was it?
It was, yeah. Everybody talk about that, like everybody would talk about like the 2-floor setups and all that.
We go to Magic and it's like a fucking party, bro. Like flyers everywhere, and one's over here, Rockaware is over there. You know, Fat Farms over here. Like all these brands, like Snoop Dogg's brands over here, like. And it was just like music, their music here, their music there, and they got people everywhere. Just, it wasn't even like like, you know, especially like you know, like Japan's huge too, like in streetwear. They come out trying to actually buy, and you know they're reserved, and they're over here like it's fucking party, bro, like
boisterous Americans.
And they're like, man, we ain't trying to do all this, you know. But it was crazy times, man, just going out to Magic and just seeing everything, man, everything.
Like, for you, if you don't mind my asking, like, when you look at that era compared to, like, today, like, do you miss, like, the aspirational aspect of it? Like, what about that, like, sort of, like pulls at your heartstrings a little bit?
I'm kind of torn because I loved it. I was like, yo, this shit is dope. Like, the vibe, like, you want to be there. But I could see it too from like over here spending all this money, selling to these people, and I'm not really selling to them because all they want to do is party, walk around, and just have a good time. So then it kind of sucks, right? Where like now it's like super, like, you know, they got this whatever music playing.
Yeah, very laid back.
It's like real laid back. And it's
Feels like you're at a department store.
Right, like you're like, damn, this shit is fucking
Elevator
boring.
music.
It's like boring, bro. Like, damn, and this is streetwear. And you're like, this is boring. But you're getting business done.
Yeah,
you know,
true.
like people are placing orders, or like they're actually going inside. They're not nervous to walk in there because there's all kinds of people in there. You know, you know, you get to talk to the owners, the reps, the salesmen, everybody. You know, so it's kind of like, I don't know, man. I'm kind of torn. But those were some dope ass times, and it did, like, every time I went to Magic, on the way home, I'm like, man, I gotta create. Like, it opened my mind to like different things, you know. But yeah, it's dope, man.
You had that hunger too.
Yeah, and that's one thing too. Like, I feel like for brands, anybody that owns a brand, you gotta continue to have that hunger.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't, because, you know, you're doing okay numbers. You know, you could do better numbers. You can, you know, you gotta stay hungry. You know what I mean? And I feel like I've always had that. Where I'm like, man,
and a
like,
fly as designer too.
Yeah, you just want to continue. And speaking of that too, like, you know, like my brand Retro Kings, right? It's you know, I think I started season 2. Like, I was there and I was like, man, it's built on like 5 elements.
Okay.
Kind of like the elements of hip hop.
Okay.
Right. And it's, you know, it's business, right? Obviously, art and design. We got sports, we got movies, right? And we got music, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit you with a question in regards to those 5 elements, just so that, you know, our listeners, our viewers, they can get to know you a little bit better. You know, in business, right? What's one word, a piece of advice for an up-and-coming brand, right? What would you tell them not to do?
Don't rush. I would say the first thing is don't rush. A lot of brands you don't need to plan everything out, but a lot of guys rush, spend a lot of money, go and buy, you know, 2,000 units of T-shirts, get them all printed up, and don't have anybody to sell them to. Right. And back in the day, they used to work, but with the internet, you kind of don't have to do that anymore. I would say don't rush. I would say that's probably my big one, is don't rush. Like I would say don't rush, and have a legitimate story about your brand ready. So even if you don't have all of the designs even designed yet, have a vision for where you want it to go. Have an idea for what store you want to sell to. Have an idea for who you think your consumer is. Because what a lot of that's going to do is going to give you more discipline in how you execute, how you design. And it's going to basically kind of slow the game down for you a little bit. You won't have so many variables to be worried about. So I would say those are the big ones. Don't rush, and have a vision for the direction you want to go in.
Dope. When it comes to art and design, right? Throughout the time that you've been a buyer, throughout the time that you've worked at these companies, who has been the most, like, which one has been the best collab that you guys have worked with? Like, someone that you guys, a brand that you guys worked with, whether it was, you know, Jack Threads or now at Shiekh.
Oh man, with Shiekh, we just we're working on this really, really dope project with Adidas right now. It's really, really cool. It's through it's a program they have called Cornerstone, which is like a community give back kind of thing. But man, like, we've got like some of like Adidas's like best silhouettes, and like with our design spin on it. It's not corny, it's not cheesy. I would say like that's probably one of the coolest things that I've been a part of as a buyer. You know, I've had a bunch of, like, man, if I showed you the amount of pitch decks I've done and all of that, and not having to do it, and having, you know, a brand pitch to you that they want to work with you in that way is super complimentary. But I think this Adidas thing we got cooking is really, really dope, honestly, like, for real.
When is that?
I think it's supposed to drop around 11/15, like, you know, Black Friday kind of time period. But we're still coordinating some of that with them. But man, like, when this cooks up, like, it looks so good. Like, we're super proud of it. Our team really put their foot into it, literally.
And it's dope too, like, working with brands like that.
Yeah.
Like, how, like, it just motivates you, and like it takes you to a different level.
Yeah, it does.
And
it makes you look at, like, man, we could have put more thought into this. You know what I'm saying? And like I'm over here like, when's the next one? When's the next one? Like, how do we like, cause you know, like again, being a buyer, you buy so far in advance. You're buying 6 to 8 months. With Nike, you're buying almost a year in advance. So like you're thinking about things on that cycle. You're not thinking about like
now
what's gonna, like you can't really worry about now till tomorrow, which is nuts. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like because we're buying so far in advance, we're thinking about tomorrow. We're thinking about like we come into like 6 months ago thinking about tomorrow. You know what I mean? So it's one of them things where like you're literally kind of a futurist in your own job.
And that's a gift too, man, to be able to like think that much
it's
ahead.
A gift,
you know what I'm
but
saying?
it's
like,
hard too because like, you know, there's elements of it that get challenging and scary because like with you knowing how stuff is working, like what you bought 6 months ago, you might be like, oh, that's slowed down. You know what I mean? Like, so there's that part of it too.
Right,
it's like
right.
you kind of get to see like the worst before it even happens. So, or in the middle while it's happening. But again, like, you know, it's one of them things that I tell people all the time. Like I feel like I'm blessed in this job. Like it's not easy, but it's not hard. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's
you enjoy it.
I love it. I love it, man. I'm passionate about it.
Love it, man.
Love it.
I can see it. I can see it when I talk to you.
Love it.
When it comes to sports, and I think I know where you're gonna go with this.
Hey.
What has been your favorite, like all time favorite team? And I'm pretty sure it's gonna be like a Cleveland team. But you could say any, like whether it's baseball, football, you know, whatever.
It's gonna be the 1997 Cleveland Indians. It's gonna be my favorite baseball team of all time. It's like my first girlfriend. It's the first team that broke my heart. I remember watching Jose Mesa pitch that game and crying my eyes out on my mom's couch because my Indians made it to the World Series and just flopped. And then it's gonna be the 2016 Cavaliers that I had moved to California and I was going to my buddy's house. We was watching the games at his crib, and it was, man, that's probably like the longest 2 weeks of my life. Like just like I swear, like I remember all like watching like just Curry smoke us, just giving us buckets. We're down 3-1. I'm like, it's over. Like, you know, it's done. I don't think we ever gonna get a shot at this again. I remember watching them the previous year thinking we had a shot, and like we had Kyrie, we had Kevin Love. I'm like, damn, we about to blow it, and then they turn around and they do it. You know, the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead. Like the best regular season basketball team of all time lost to LeBron James. Shout out Cleveland.
That's when he had that Ultimate Warrior shirt, right?
Yeah,
I was like, damn, that's hard.
Yeah. So for us, it was like, dude, like you know, just being a Cleveland kid, like I cried. Like I cried when we won. Like it's like a little embarrassing, but like it's so much built up because you get, like, as a Cleveland fan, you get cooked. Like, you know, like, y'all suck. All y'all teams suck. Your football team suck. Your baseball team suck. Basketball, y'all got LeBron James. He ain't Mike. You know what I mean? Yeah. And, like, it's weird because a lot of us, especially people that came up in my era, we have a legitimate passion for Bron because Bron is like a larger than life person that we all got to touch and feel.
Hometown hero.
Exact, but like legitimately.
But like he's up here, but he was still a hometown hero.
Exactly, because I mean, literally some of us grew up with him. Like I went to high school with dudes that played on his AAU teams and all that. So it was like, you know, you just had a different feel for it. But yeah, it's the 97 Indians and 2016 Cavaliers. Favorite two teams.
Who's your GOAT? Basketball.
It's still Mike.
Okay.
It's still Mike. I ain't stupid.
Good.
But like LeBron's like GOAT Jr.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I mean, like this is gonna lead it to a whole nother thing. But the thing that, to me, Kobe is a really good carbon copy of Mike. Like, the thing I like about Kobe, he's not as athletic as Mike, wasn't as fast and agile as Mike, but he just worked so hard. Nobody was working harder than Kobe. But Bron is just different. And I think that's what, like, the conversation is. Like, Mike was the sort of like, the prototype. He built, like, basketball was never big business until Mike. So when we talk about GOAT, I don't just mean GOAT on court. I mean, like, you know,
for the culture,
like,
man.
Like Gatorade. What was it? Hanes underwear. Bro had his own cologne that was everywhere. You know what I mean? Right. Like, Mike is the GOAT in terms of, like, we've never had a cultural icon that meant more to not just basketball, but business than Mike. And now you look at LeBron, like, LeBron's a billionaire, Mike's a billionaire. So to me, like, Mike is the GOAT because his on-court play dictated how big of a superstar he could be off the court. And I think he set the path for guys like Brian. He's gonna set the path for guys like, hopefully a Ja or one of these other younger guys.
Right.
But to me, with no Mike, there is no Brian. There's 100% no Kobe.
Right.
So, to me, like when you go to the prototype, yeah, that's what it is.
Yo, did you hear Mike's house just sold
For how
for
much?
like 14 mil? That one, the one that got the 23 on the gate.
The one in Chicago?
Like, yeah, that
I
dope
believe
one.
that. I believe that.
It was on the market forever. I was like, shit, let me make 15 mil. I was waiting for it. Someone took it, bro.
Yeah, somebody got it. Yeah,
somebody got it like a week ago. I was mad. When it comes to movies, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you just went to work, you placed all these orders, you went home trying to chill with the fam or by yourself. What movie are you watching?
That's a good question, man. But I got the answer. It's gonna be one of them Spider-Verse movies, honestly.
Which one? The what?
Any one of the Spider-Verse movies.
Oh shit!
Like for real. Like it's weird because I'm a grown man, but I love the movies, man. Like it's got.
You be going to like Comic-Con and all that.
Yeah,
shit,
I do. But I realize I'm not that big of a geek as I think I am. You go to Comic-Con and somebody will blow your mind with like all of what they know. Like you think you a geek. It's like, nah, bro, I ain't on it like that. Yeah, like, but nah, like I just mess with them. I can watch it with my kids. You know what I'm saying? I've seen it already. I still find stuff I haven't caught. And you know me, I love art. You know what I mean? So, that's why I love your brand so much. But, the art elements are so cool when you just look at the amount of thought process put into that movie, man. Like it's a literal like painting every scene. Like, and I know some of the artists that worked on it. I know, so like I follow them. And when you understand like the amount of time and effort that gets put into something like that, not only is it visually striking, the story is great. It's culturally relevant. Like, there's not like to me, like the biggest mind F for me over the last, I want to say like 10 years is the amount of like you go somewhere and this little white kid's dressed as like, a black Hispanic Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Right. And it's like, it don't even like factor in. Like, and it's like, I love that. Like, I love the fact that like, like it and it's the same thing. Like, it's like a Michael Jordan kind of moment where like you transcend race and culture. You just become a human icon. So right. I love that piece of it. It's good storytelling, good art. It's super easy to watch. I don't gotta shush nobody. I could just press pause, but it's gonna be that. It's real relaxing, and then it be parts that get me a little emotional. You know what I'm saying? But it's cool. I like it.
And it probably inspires you a little bit.
A little bit. Like
I know you draw.
I could draw more, but so it does for sure.
I know you drove here about maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was like
80 minutes, about 80 minutes. Yeah.
What's your playlist like?
Man, honestly, I was prepping for this, so I was in my head like, preparing for the questions. But honestly, like if I'm driving, like I gotta throw almost like my life playlist really is always gonna have like in today, probably last 3-4 years, Larry June. Anything with Larry June to me is just like super relaxing. It's almost like hip hop jazz. Like he has these like very like kind of like. It's weird, but it's almost like easy listening hip hop. Like, so he's like a newer artist. He's out the Bay Area, but like shout out Larry June, like one of my favorite guys. Like I've met very few people that like hate his music. I've met people that don't really like it, but it's super easy to listen to. Like we could throw Larry June on right now, and everybody just kind of vibe to it. It's real low, real low key. That's
what's up, man. That's what's up. And those were the 5 elements, man. I came up with that because I really want. Even myself, I get to know you a little bit more, a little bit better. Let's talk about Sheek. Man. Okay, you at Sheek now.
Yes.
And I know I've gotten hit up a lot. There's up and coming brands that see that I work with you, and you guys are my biggest account, and I appreciate that. And we do great. We do good. We do good work.
We do good.
You know
work.
What I mean? Like what's it gonna take, right, for this? What do you look for when someone approaches you with their line sheet or whatever it is that they have, and what's it gonna take for you to say, you know what, let me give them a shot. The way you gave me a shot, I'm gonna give them a shot also.
I look for the complete story. You know what I mean? Like the good thing about you, dude, your archive is so crazy. You design so prolifically. You like the Tupac of this, where you know Tupac, Lil Wayne. You just got designs you don't even remember. You know what I mean? So, to me, it's about the storytelling. Really, like when you look at a retailer like us, we don't really have the kind of store that we can have. Like a Tilly's where you can just go through a t-shirt rack and just find a brand or find a t-shirt. I like to have complete stories. So it needs to be like, give me your best 4 or 5 designs that I can put into stores that are going to be relevant, that are going to speak to our consumer, that not only, is going to sell, but looks good. Like I always tell people, like I kind of have not a 5 elements, but I tell people that in my opinion, what makes the t-shirt business work is that the stuff that works the best is the stuff that speaks to people. So that's why licensed tees are so impactful because, there's that guy that likes comic books. There's that guy that likes anime. There's that guy that likes Michael Jordan, Kobe. And when you look at like, even like bootleg tees and stuff like that, that's speaking to somebody's like psyche for real. Like you're like it's a really intimate conversation with what you wear. Like you're telling somebody, yo, I mess with Mike or I mess with Kobe. You know what I mean? I mess with Ice Cube. I mess with Bugs Bunny. So it's important to sort of when you're designing and when you're putting product out there that, again, I had said this before, have the thought process in mind of who you're selling to and why. And you really want that because something that looks good is generally going to get the customer's attention. The main thing is how do you replicate that a couple times over? And the important thing to me for most new and upcoming brands is they don't think that far ahead. And the guys that, when you hear their stories, they had a whole, like, you do have the guys that stumble into it. But when you look at brands today, I don't want to name drop anybody, but like, a lot of them, they're going to do a season or two. They're going to be gone in a year. It's the guys that like, yo, I want to do this for 10, 15 years, 5 years. I have a plan. I want to do wholesale for the first 2 years to get my name out there. I want to make sure in between I'm doing direct to consumer. And then I want to open up a store. I want to collaborate with somebody, or I want to sell to Urban Outfitters. Like I remember back in the day, brands would go to a trade show, put it on a credit card, and if they couldn't get an order from Urban Outfitters or Tilly's or Zoomies, they would leave the show early. You know what I'm saying? And go file a claim on a credit card, which is nuts. But like, they would do that because like if I can't sell this product to somebody, there's no point in me doing it. And that's a little bit of like a defeatist attitude, but it is the very thought process that I know who I want to sell to and why I want to sell to them. And to me, when you start with that kind of idea, it's about kind of tightening those variables, like making it easier for yourself to sort of figure out, I want to, my dream is to be in Shoe Palace, or my dream is to be a West Coast brand. I want to be in these 3 or 4 retailers. You got to have a design, you got to have a brand, story. You got to have all those elements to really make these guys take a look at you and want to sell to you. Cause it'll happen. Like we as retailers always need new brands and new product, but it's really up to the designers and the artists and the creatives to really figure out, what's going to speak to the consumer, what's going to sell. And then, 9 out of 10 times we'll need it. You know what I'm saying? Right. So
how many stores?
I think right now we're at 50. We're gonna be at we're gonna be over 60 next year.
California.
Yeah, so California, Texas, Nevada. We got 4 stores in Vegas. Washington, we got I think 2 stores in Seattle, and we got 2 stores in Portland, Oregon. So the whole Western Seaboard. Okay. So I think the only state we skip is Arizona.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Have you heard from Sheikh about expanding into other states, or is it?
I think for the most part, at one point Sheikh was like 150 stores. So, we filed bankruptcy in 2017 and we cut the fleet down by like 70%. So we're kind of going back into more territories, more stores. We just opened back up in Ontario Mills. It's one of our craziest stores.
You guys are back in there?
Yeah, we back in the Mills.
The store in there look dope.
Popping. It's popping in there. And then we just opened one at the USC Village, which is fire. It's really cool. It's dope. It's dope.
You know what the best feeling is too? Like for me, man, when I have people that follow me, or even family, bro, from like different, like I've had family in Vegas. They go into a Sheikh and they're like, "Oh, that's my uncle's shirt," and they, they'll take a picture of it. And they're like, like that feeling is so dope. And I think that's what some of these up and coming brands, that's what they want. Like they want that. They want to be able to go into that store and say, that's my product.
It's that feeling, man. It's that feeling of like you've made it. I mean, like, you know, a transaction is so hard to make. People have so many options, but you know, it's nothing like seeing something you design or something you put. Even like me, I get excited off of a buy. Like I'll see a dude wearing a pair of jeans, and I'll be like, "Where you get your jeans from?" Oh man, I got them over at Chic over at so. So I was like, all right, bet. Yeah. You know, because I bought it. So you know, it's like anytime that you
it makes you feel good, like you're making the right move for Chic.
Exactly.
And someone copped it.
It's basically validating what you do, right? Like it basically means that you're doing something right. Like people like the stuff that you putting out there. Right. And I think, you know, again, with just the way the marketplace is, we lack the Nestor Hernandezes, and we lack, you know, the Ryan Mantes and those kind of guys, you know, the Evan Lesslers. We lack the guys that like came from nothing and like really put a brand name out there. They put their and they created a unique product that actually speaks to customers. And again, we just lack that. When you look at you know, when we listen to music now, like I tell people all the time, like we've over commodified music to where music is just really today just really a backdrop to a commercial. You know what I'm saying? Like that's really all it is. And like, you know, I would say the only exception is really Kendrick. But even like the Kendrick thing, like a lot of that, there's a lot of commercial elements to that, you know, but even with that, like music in general just doesn't have that like that passion. You know what I mean? And I just feel like, you know, we also lacking in all forms of creative because everything's so numbers and financial driven that like we just drained it. We drained the life force out of so much of our stuff that makes us human.
Right. So just so you guys know, man, like it's possible. It's definitely possible to get at my boy. What position you hold at Chic?
I am the men's. Okay, so I'm the men's apparel buyer for Chic, and I am the men's apparel and footwear buyer for karmaloop.com. Chic operates multiple platforms. We have chic.com. We have karmaloop.com. We just recently bought MLTD, which is more of like a skate kind of like lifestyle workwear.
That Moose?
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Okay.
We just bought them like about 3 months ago. Not even like 60 days ago. Yeah.
They're out here, Southern California, right?
Yeah, they were up in the valley,
in like Canoga Park or something.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. So we brought their buyer Alana on. So she's at the home office with us now too. So you know we're growing. Like you know what I'm saying. Like it's exciting. It's exciting to be. You know, I went through 2 bankruptcies in 2 years. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like Karmaloop filed bankruptcy in 2015. I go over to Chic. Chic files in 17. So I had like a year off, and then we right back into it. But the one thing I could say is, man, Chic's a fighter. He's one of them people that like, you know, to me, you know, there's Ronnie Fayed, there's all these cool guys, but like, you know, Sheik Alahi, the dude that owns our company, man, like he's one of like the cool, like his story is like super dope. But end of the day, like he fights. Like he knows what he's doing. He's got a vision. He really wants to be around. He loves being an independent retailer. He loves like nobody being able to tell him what to do, and he lives by that. Like he puts the work in to kind of really back that up. So you know, we messes with him.
So it's not gonna be easy.
Yep.
But you know, if you guys got your shit together, man, you know, make sure you guys reach out.
I would say this too. Sorry. Make sure you got a professional looking line sheet. It's great if you have a website, and even if you don't have a website, it's not the end of the world. At the very least, have some kind of Instagram, something so we can see it. And also, please, 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 when you're contacting a buyer, when you are working with us, please be as professional as you can be. You know, we have a lot of things to do. We have a lot of things on our plate. Sometimes we are busy, but I would just say professionalism goes so far. There's so many brands that like I've just kicked to the curb because they weren't professional. And it's like I've got a ton of things to do. You know, I'm literally managing millions of dollars of business. So for somebody to be disrespectful or to dodge emails or to not call back or to send kind of crazy text messages, some of those things really start to like, you know, that factors in. So you just always, I tell guys like, treat any buyer you're talking to like you're going to go deal with Nordstrom or Urban Outfitters, because they put you through a ringer. Like it's like a whole compliance process.
Oh, yeah.
We don't do none of that. We don't have a vetting process. So I would say like the more professional you can be, it goes a long way. And even if you don't work with me, that might work with another company. So always try to carry that professionalism with you.
That's what's up, man. Hey, that's game right there for y'all. So you're welcome. Yo, let me ask you, man. Where do you see Rich 5 years from now? How old are you right now?
38.
All right, you're still young. Where do you see Rich 10 years from now?
Man, 48.
Yeah, almost my age.
Man, 48. Hopefully, I'm hoping I'm like 30 pounds lighter. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, health is wealth. Man.
Health is wealth, man. Yeah, I would say I want to be a little bit lighter mentally, emotionally, physically, financially. I want to be much heavier. I want to be chunky financially. You know what I'm saying? I want to be a fat boy financially.
Flip it.
Yeah.
All right.
And I want to be able.
You like California?
I do. I love California. Like, California is low key my first love. I did take a trip to Dallas. I ain't gonna lie, I like Texas too. It might just be like first kind of crush kind of thing, but no, I love California. It's hard to be anywhere, right? Like, you go to like Ohio in December to go visit your parents, you come back to LA and it's like 70 and clear. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to get away from that. It's really expensive. It's really expensive. So if I think from a business standpoint, that's a challenging conversation. But I would say, like, long term, 5 to 10 years, I would let it still be as Chic. If not as Chic, I would love to like be PLM or like some kind of like creative / merchandising role, like a Nike or Adidas or Vans. I would love to be able to like maybe have my stuff financially together to where maybe I'm doing my own thing. But to me, it's more like keep your options open. You know, I have a couple plans that I haven't sort of even fully thought out yet, but you know, it's just
burn bridges.
Yeah, don't burn bridges. I think the main thing too is just I need to do a better job of writing my ideas down as I get older. You know, because you lose certain stuff. You might have had an idea and whatever, but 5 to 10 years, man. I guess let me put it this way: as far as my family goes, in 5 years, my middle son will be 18. So hopefully, I'm sending him off to college. My youngest son will be 11, so he'll be like 6th or 7th grade. So I'll hopefully be walking him to school. My oldest is gonna be 25 or 26. Ooh. Yeah. So hopefully he's got his own situation where he's looking for an apartment, or he's got a young lady he's talking about moving in with or something like that, or, you know, whatever that is. But personally, man, like 5 years it's a long time, but it's a short time. For me, it's just more like I said, physically a little bit lighter, emotionally more lighter, spiritually more lighter, and then want them pockets chunky, man. Whatever I got to do to get there.
That's what's up, man. Yeah. That's what's up. Yo, so I know you met her earlier, our girl Blinky.
Yeah.
We got this segment, this part of the show. It's called Ayo Ness,
Ayo
right?
Ness.
I'm doing all the I'm setting up all the questions.
Okay.
This is your turn, you know, to ask me a question.
Okay.
And then I'm gonna
flip it back to me.
Flip it back. So
I had a bunch, man. I had some personal joints, like, you know, actually, this is my main one. I'm a little bit envious. I ain't gonna lie. All right. What does it feel like to have a junior that's as creative as the one you have? Like, how does that, like, what does that make you feel like?
Bro, I'm gonna tell you something. Like, he was like, I want to say he was like 9, 10, and it was the best feeling in the world, right? I had these, I forgot what they were. They were these Nike. I forgot the name of them, but I think I don't know if AD wore them. Someone wore them. But anyways, but they had the full on the air unit.
Okay.
And my son says, "Dad, can I take it apart?" And I'm like, I just paid 180 for them. Mm. And then I was like, man, all right, go for
Got
it.
to, yeah.
Go
He's
for
gonna
it.
do
What
something with
do you want to do with it?
Yeah.
He's like, I want to see how they built the air bubble, how it's made. And I was like, go for it, you know. And sure enough, he starts, you know, undoing like everything. He takes the whole, like, one shoe. He only does one shoe. He takes it apart, and he's got all the panels. He's got the air unit. He's got all the panels here, and then he starts tracing everything on paper. Right? He starts tracing everything on paper, and then he cuts it out, and then he makes the shoe out of paper.
That's crazy.
That he just took apart. And then, bro, like, that was like, that is dope.
Yeah.
And then that just, you know, me and my wife, we don't push our kids to do anything. Like, this just, it was something that he wanted to do. So we're like, cool, go for it, you know? And that started this whole thing with him. Like, first, it was with sneakers, you know, and you see him, like, we went up to Nike, went up to Adidas. He did his own shoe with Adidas, like, you know, and it just started this creative process for him. Yeah. And then, man, it was just so easy for me to be there for him 110% because I love it. Yeah. You know what I mean? I love it too. So it it was just super easy for me, man. So it is, I ain't gonna lie, man. It's like and he's a Virgo. He was born he was born 3 hours. We're almost born on the same day. He's 9/10, I'm 9/11.
Okay.
So it's like the best feeling in the world, man. Like have a junior and then have that fool like love the culture.
Yeah.
And even though he's not about graphic tees. Like this dude is like on a different level. Like he's on this Virgil Abloh level.
Yeah.
Like his first tattoo is like a quote from Virgil.
Okay.
Like that's what he wants.
Okay.
And he can look at something right now and be like, yo, this is dope. Right. And then like 2 weeks later, he's like, I'm on to something else.
Yeah.
And that's why he doesn't drop as much because
his
mind is
always
going,
moving.
Always going. And but man, to answer your question, it is the best feeling ever, dog. Like it is, you don't even understand, bro. Like every time he wants to do something when it comes to that, I'm in there. Like 100, whatever you need, I'm there.
He's really stinking talented, man. Like I said, like that's why I had to ask, because like I know how talented you are and whatever, but just even those couple meetings we had with him, I'm like this dude is different.
He's different, bro.
And it's funny
different
when you meet people like that. Like he's different. Like he's like, and it's cool because I got this theory about like even though you made it to the majors, like. I got this theory that like, if your dad made it to any kind of league and he was not a bum, but like bench player, role player, journeyman kind of guy, his son is going to be a dog.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like you could prove it. Like Pat Mahomes' dad wasn't that great at baseball, but Pat is a dog. You know what I'm saying? So I think
that's what that's what I'm waiting for. And I know it's coming.
Yeah.
And I know it's going to come because I see his mentality, and it's in him.
Yeah.
It's just obviously he's 17.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He's still
young,
a baby.
Bro. Like,
he's still a baby.
He likes
man.
all kinds of different things. So when he locks in, it's game over. Yeah. It's gonna be game over, man.
Yeah, just keep nurturing that, man. Like it's like I'm.
And I gotta thank you too, man, because you plugged him in with Sheik over here in the Valley, man.
Man.
And he's about to start working over there, so it's gonna open his mind even more.
And honestly, too, real quick plug, like anybody that also wants to work for Sheik, we're always looking for good people. We looking for leaders. We looking for people that understand community. We looking for people that are bilingual. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to that. But we want good people. Like the big thing about retail since the pandemic is when you go to places, the customer service is no good. And when we talked out, I told you most important thing about Junior is like, go in professional. You know what I'm saying? Going ready. And he got a good dad. He got a good moms. He comes from a good family. So we're excited to have him, man. I hope he does. Look, the hope is that he does well, and the hope is that he graduates and comes like creative director at Nike or whatever, you know what I'm saying, later on down the line.
That's what I'm hoping for too.
Yeah,
yo, man, we're coming to an end.
Let's do it.
But before we go, I need you to plug in, and I know you're rocking, that's your hat right there. You got a couple of them here.
Two right there.
I need you to plug them. Let the people know how they can get a hold of you. Not just on some, I got a brand, like you said, they got to be professional.
Yeah.
But let them know. Just plug, whatever you need to plug, bro.
Yes.
This is your time.
All right, cool. I'm gonna give a shout out I want to give a shout out to my family. I want to give a shout out to my kids, my wife. I want to give a shout out to my moms. I want to thank God, obviously, for having me here. I got over here safe. I want to give a shout out to Matt Michael from Corporate Gotham. That was my first boss in the streetwear. I want to give a shout out to Deontay from Soul Classics. I want to give a shout out to Jason Ross from Jack Threads. I want to give a shout out to Leandrew Robinson from Karma Loop. And really want to give a shout out to Sheik Alahi, man. He's a good dude. He's the reason why I'm here right now, here in California. Built a great business, great family business. And then also want to give a shout out to Marcus F and Prime. So the two hats, we designed these. So real quick story, me and Marcus met via IG. It was commenting on all of his stuff, and he designed this Chief Wahoo. Chief Wahoo kind of inspired logo. He's a dude from Cleveland area. And I'm like, bro, let me make this into a hat. You know what I'm saying? So, I just went and found some blanks. I got a guy that is nasty, bro. Like, I don't care what nobody says. I know there's some racist undertones about it, but like, this is one of the best designed. The OG Chief Wahoo is one of the best designed, like, to me, logos ever, like top 5 ever. But the homie put the gold grill on it. He gave him the 360 waves. He gave him Like, it's like we reappropriated something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we're messing with it. But the plan is to really take this to a next level. The best way to reach me is I'm at Swagnito on Instagram, SWAGGNETO on Instagram. It's Swagnito85 on x.com. Same spelling, just add the 85 at the end. I will not put my email out there, but you get this, you see anything, definitely feel free to reach out. I'm pretty cool, I'm pretty cordial. And again, just, I would say with this new era, don't be afraid to go out there and take some risks and meet some people. And you just never know. Like, this thing with Marcus F.S. Prime started from just me texting him saying, or like literally commenting like, yo, let me turn this into a hat, bro. Right. And he just believed in it. And like, I'm excited. Monday I got the next shipment coming. So we'll kind of see how it goes. Plan is to kind of promo these out, get these out there. And me and him are kind of working on the back end to sort of figure out like what the next step is. Like, me, I already have a vision for where I want to take it. So it's more of like just trying to get a line there, getting everything executed right. I got a bunch of crazy ideas for these hats once we get them done professionally the right way. But again, it's just cooking. I'm not trying to do nothing crazy. I'm not gonna have these like in store, just because I can plug my own stuff. Like, I want to do it the right way. I really want to put it out there and just let it grow organically. So, man,
that's what's up. That's what's up. And yo, let me just tell you guys, man, it's definitely possible. My boy right here, like he said, he's cordial, man. He talk to you. You just got to be right. You got to, you got to come at him right. And I'm just going to show you guys something. I'm not going to tell you, but I got this here for motivation. This is a stub from Sheik, bro. I'm not going to tell you how much.
It's a nice stub.
But let me tell you, I could get a couple Porsches with it. But this is the motivation. Like, for me, still, like he said, like, I stay hungry. And that's one thing. Like, you guys got to stay hungry. Just because you made it to Sheik, just because you made it to wherever, like, you got to stay on that grind. You got to stay hungry. But, yo, thank you, my dog, my brother from another mother.
Appreciate you,
Yo, man, I love this dude.
Bro. Too, man.
Thank you for being on the show, man. And I appreciate you, talking to the people, man. And then just make sure, man, make sure you guys check it out. Make sure you guys comment. Make sure you guys follow and all that. Thank you, guys, and to the next one.
Thank you. I appreciate you.